I don't know if you guys dated any other Spanish women before you dated your partners, so I don't know your experiences, but do you guys think that in general, dating somebody from the States versus dating somebody from Spain is a very different experience?
This show is for entertainment only. We are not professionals, and nothing said here counts as real advice. Beyond this point, what you do with the information we discuss is solely your responsibility. Please do your own research before making decisions based on anything mentioned in our chats.
Hey everybody, I'm Carson,
I'm Paulina.
And I'm Brandon.
and welcome to our show tonight. So today we're going to be talking about relationships. Now, we all got here to Spain somehow, one way or another, and we want to talk a little bit about what's keeping us here. And of course, those are the people in our lives, the people we care about the most, people we love. So let's get into it. How's it going, guys?
Not too bad. Yourself?
It's
Chilling.
good.
Right on. Love those glasses, by the way.
Not the greatest glasses. I can't really see you, but I'm putting it on for the show.
To be seen. So, let's first start by saying, I've been in Spain for going on 7 years. It'll be 7 years this September. How about you guys? How long exactly?
I
Go ahead,
think
Paulina.
here I've been the shortest amount of time from the three of us. I think I moved in 2021, so 5 years. 2021, I think it was, or 2020. I don't know, 5 or 6 years at this point. I lost count.
That's
When
a
you're
good
in
count.
love, you lose count.
Oh, I think I'm coming up on 17 or 18 years.
What?
Yes, sir.
I think you've told me, you must have told me 10 times, but every time I'm just like, what?
No, me too. I have that same reaction.
17, 18. And you and yours, Brandon, how long you been together?
This year will be 15 years. Long
Impressive.
time.
Yeah.
Paulina, y'all been together the whole time you've been here or before?
Before we met in 2018. So what is that now? Like 8 years, 7 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not good at math, so around there, seven, eight
Yeah, for sure.
years.
That's for sure. That's how long I've known my wife as well, since 2018. We met over there in the US, and then here we are. We ended up in Spain on the other side of the world somehow.
Exactly.
Interesting.
What about you, Brendan?
Where did we
When,
meet?
yeah, how did you guys meet? Or like not how, maybe you don't want to go into
Yeah.
that, but
No. We so when I first came here, I believe Carson, you came as a auxiliar de conversación. Paulina, you didn't do that program, did you? Or
no.
okay. So yeah, so basically it is you come and you're in you work in the high schools and you teach you help teach English to the students. And my second year I did it, was in the school, Nordy and I were in the same school. So that's how we met.
The
That
second year?
was
You
my
said the
second year.
year?
The first year we were in the same city, we were in the same town, but she was in a different school and she was only there for I think maybe a month or two, so we never crossed paths. And then I went back to the US for a whole year, then I came back and we were in the same school.
What are the
and
chances?
Been here since. I take these off.
I was wondering, I was like, man, he's going for a record here. Like,
Yeah, now everything's weird. I can't see anything, but yeah, that's a little story of how we met, and well, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, a guy
Okay.
from Tennessee getting sent to this little no-name town in the corner of Murcia.
for sure. For sure. Paulina, what about you?
Well, mine is more of a modern love story, I would say, because we met through Tinder. And it was mainly because it's a long story, but let me sort of like compact it a little bit. I moved to Poland in 2018. Yeah, it was 2018. And I was sort of just dating around, whatever, living my life. And it was in 2019 I met Tony. I always get it confused because it was February. So it's like right on the edge of like 2018, 2019. So I met him because I was one day decided that I want to do my Tinder account again, and try that once again. I pretty much just swiped right on him, and he swiped right on me, and I was like, "Okay, we should meet up. I don't feel like talking on Tinder." And he came over to my house, um, and pretty much from there we were like inseparable. So
Right on.
yeah.
Yeah, Maria and I also met on Tinder. It was Tinder, in the US. And so same idea, kind of like, all right, you look interesting. I was like, you look like you could be foreign. I'm into that. And she's tall, and I'm pretty freakishly tall. So let's see what happens. We went on our first date. We had brunch, and the rest is history. Yeah, we just, like you said, inseparable. We went from spending time on the weekends to, hey, I'm going back to Spain. I was like, well, I'm not really done here. Are you? And so to speak, like, no, we just continue this journey together in Spain. I remember I visited the next year because she had left in the fall of no, sorry. She had left in the spring of 2019. I visited Spain for the first time that summer, and I was like, this place is pretty cool. I was here for about 8 days. I was like, I think I think I could try it out. So I remember she was like, you know, opening up to me, and like we were having like a good time together for that week, but I was like, there's something she wants to tell me. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, yeah, I think I want to stay in Spain. I was like, yeah, I had a feeling it was something like that. I told her I had a feeling it was something like that. You were afraid to talk to me about it. I was like, you know what? I'm up for the adventure. Let's go for it. Um, I already had the job lined up as an auxiliar de conversación de inglés because we didn't know if we were going to be in the US or we were going to be in Spain. So as like a backup, I was like, hey, I already have a job. Let me just sell all my stuff. I'll get out of my apartment. I'll be over there as soon as I can. So I came September, and welcome to Spain. Welcome to your world, upside down, and not in a bad way, of course, but we'll get into all that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So you knew sort of from
but
the beginning that, or like very early on, that you'll want to live here in Spain.
I mean, not like, I think I only decided, it must have been July. I decided only 2 or 3 months before actually moving here. We
Okay.
had not really had that long chat. It was kind of like we had married. We had married in the US, so it was always like, we're going to live in the US. And then I just wasn't getting that vibe from her. And I was like, all right, let me see what's going on. That's when we had that chat. We were in Madrid. It was like a day or two before I left, or maybe even the night before. And I was like, you know what? If you're up for it, I am. I'll just move here. I'm inviting myself to your country. Okay. How about that? Yeah. I mean, essentially that's how it went. And she was like, cool. Wow. Amazing. I'm really surprised. I was like, yeah, well, just tell me what you're thinking next time. And that's how it evolves, and big change, unlike anything I've ever done. I mean, I'd only spent a little bit of time in Europe on vacations with family, a week at a time. Of course, I loved it, being so different from the US and just how open, and I don't know, like, you can just tell the vibes are different, the energy is different. There's so much more history. The cities just have a bit more character, it feels, in some ways. Not to bash on American cities, because we have our things too, um but yeah,
Yeah.
so I was like, that sounds fun. Adventure time. Let's go.
Years later, well, here we are.
Yeah. 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 No, I was asking about if you knew from early on because, for example, with Tony and I was very like I think it's also because I don't know how old you guys were when you all met, but we were still quite young. I think I was about 22, 23. Tony is 3 years older, so he was about 26. So, I mean, for Spanish standards, that's very young to be in a serious relationship, so to say. But we're gonna get into that. But yeah, with Tony, it was like a very, are we actually gonna do this long distance? Because I was planning to stay in Poland. As I was planning to do my university, I wanted to do my master's degree there. That's sort of like the main reason also why I moved to Poland because university is really expensive in the States. So that sort of like was a very topic that sort of we would try to talk about, but also avoid it at the same time. Because
Yeah.
when you meet in February and then he was leaving in June, towards the end of June, that doesn't give you that much time to really get to know a person. Like, yes, but at the same time, it's like, okay, if he's gonna move back to his country, he has a job already lined up, and I'm gonna go and study here for 2 years. Are we actually gonna do long distance? What's gonna happen? So it was one of those weird sort of like we really knew we cared about each other, but we sort of felt like there was like a deadline for this relationship.
Hmm.
So we're thinking like, okay, June is gonna come around. It's gonna be very difficult. Um, but then June came around, and we sort of really started to feel like, oh my God, like, do we actually want this to be over? Like, I feel like I met my person, and we decided that, well, I'm gonna continue studying in Poland. Gonna start my university in October. It was October that I was starting university, and that in September I would go and visit. And that's what happened. In September, I came to Alicante. I visited my partner. I stayed here about, I think it was 10 days or something. And that's where I knew I was like, okay, I think this is where I would actually like to live, you know,
Cool.
to sort of like settle down. And I knew that I wouldn't live forever in Poland. That's something that in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm not going to be here for the rest of my life. So I was very open to sort of like moving. I pretty much knew that like it would be me moving to Spain, not him moving to Poland, for the fact that he already had a job, that I was looking for some sort of job. You know, I had a part-time job in Poland, but it wasn't anything that it was that serious that I would, feel like bad leaving or whatever. So we sort of took the decision, okay, once I'm done with my degree, I'm going to move to Spain. And here I
Yeah.
am. Yeah, with the crazy loud neighbors that, like I'm
Brandon is all about some loud neighbors, doesn't it?
That's Spain. That's Spain. Right now, it's actually quiet here, but my story is a little bit similar to yours, Paulina. I always knew that I wanted to spend 2 years here in Spain. So I did my first year, then I went back to the US, and then I came back. And Nuria and I started dating in May. And then in June, I left. I went back to the US.
Yeah.
And so we were there, kind of like that moment, it's like, oh, well, what's going to happen? Like, is that it or whatever? So I went back to the US and I was applied for a few jobs. And I got a job at a school here. And so I came back in September. And I've been here since.
Cool.
That was, 2011.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Time flies.
Yeah, I
It's
want to
wild.
say that Maria moved back to Spain. We got married in May. She left to be back in Spain sometime that June. And during this time, I was just applying for that job, the auxiliary job. And we were just talking. And I guess it was kind of an unspoken thing, like kind of similar to what you said, Paulina, like not like a deadline, but kind of like, we're going to have to make a decision soon, like what to do, that we weren't really addressing it. We were still in the kind of the honeymoon phase of the relationship, and everything was great. And we didn't want to talk about the hard things, and it's just normal. Right. But then, I came to Spain and the truth came out, the truth about how we were feeling. And then, making that decision wasn't so hard. It was just kind of having the conversation. The decision was already there. We knew we wanted to be together. That's why we got married in the first place, obviously. But, to stay together and be starting something new in a new place, it was a little scary. I mean, I think the excitement overwhelmed the level of fear at that point, that I wasn't so shocked. I think the shock came in later, like the initial shock within maybe the first 2 or 3 months of being here, and then the longer lasting initial shock of the first 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 years of being in Spain. It's like it came in waves where you just realize, like, where the am I right now? I
Yep.
thought this was a normal place. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's a normal place. It's just, wow, lots, lots, lots of different things here.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's funny that both of you all met your partner's on Tinder. Since I'm the OG uncle of the podcast. When Nudie and I like started talking, that's like right when WhatsApp was started. Cause we didn't have any way to kind of communicate when I went back to the US. And she was like, "Oh, there's this new app called WhatsApp." And
New
obviously I
app.
couldn't get it in the US. I was trying to download it. I was like, I didn't know what it was. But there's no way we were actually like, just like sending emails back and forth. Oh, I'm old.
Wow. Nah, man, you're vintage.
Old school. But yeah, that's how we had to communicate. And then right when I came back, that's when like everyone had WhatsApp, and that's how everyone started communicating. But yeah, I've been around for a while.
Cool, man. That's cool.
So, Brandon, you and Yulia also had to do long distance, and Carson and you and Maya as well, or no? At some
Yeah,
point?
well,
Yes.
for less than 6 months. I want to say
Okay.
it was like 6 months maximum.
Yeah. For me, it was just a summer months. It was that June, July, and August, and in September I was back. So yeah, about 3.5 months.
And you, Paulina, how long was the long distance?
About 2 years.
Oh.
Shit.
I mean, and it was the worst of the time. Yeah. Okay, laugh it out. Yeah. But no, I mean, it was 2 years, but it was sort of flying back and forth because I would go, for example, in September, I would come visit, and then Tony would come visit, I don't know, let's say December or January. So we had like our time where we would, fly back and forth, but then COVID hit. And with COVID, it was a lot more difficult to actually travel anywhere. You couldn't really travel anywhere. So we would
Yeah.
have date nights on like a Zoom meeting or whatever, or on Discord, and watch movies together and things like that, because how else could we actually still, keep the romance type of thing while not being able to see each other for, I don't know, more than 6 or 7 or 8 months. Yeah,
It's a long time.
it is a
It's
long
rough.
time. Yeah, it is. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's why I asked, because I know that long distance, like, I don't know if like your families or your like friends looked at you funny, like,
Oh,
really?
I'm sure they more than looked at me funny. I'm sure they talked about me funny too. They're like, "What the? Oh, it's another one of Carson's adventures. Let's see how long this one sticks." One of your ideas, one of your great ideas. Well, it turns out to be one of the best ideas I've ever had.
Exactly.
So you never know. You just gotta keep trying them out, I guess.
Exactly.
The ideas,
It's gonna work eventually.
Yeah.
Brandon, what about you?
Hey, what? Sorry. Yeah, I got lost for a second.
Did your friends and family sort of look at you funny? I mean, it wasn't too long of like a long distance, so.
No, for me, no, because my whole issue with the family, friends looking at me weird is because I was in Spain before. So the whole relationship issue wasn't this guy's weird, what are you doing? It's the whole leaving the US to come to Spain. That's when I got all those looks. As far
For
as
leaving
with
the
the
US.
relationship, it was bound to happen at some point if I was here. What did you say, Carson? Sorry?
You said all the looks and talk was about you leaving the US. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So when I first came to study abroad and then to work, then I went back to the US and came back again to work, and then it's more like, yeah, eventually he's not going to come back, and yeah, that happened. Even though my mom,
Yeah.
up until a couple of years ago, she still had that little bit of faith that I would come back, but
I think moms are like that. I think my mom would definitely say something like that if you got her to tell the truth. It would be like, I was holding out thinking, you guys would move here. I mean, I hope you two eventually consider moving here. I think she even said that a few times, but now it's more like, you guys could always move back. I know she wouldn't say it anymore because she knows that we don't have an interest at the moment.
yeah.
We're very happy in Spain. I mean, there's so many pros and cons, of course, to living anywhere, but we don't ever talk seriously about moving back to the US. I mean, it could be something in the future, but right now it's off the table. It's not it's not even a conversation. But
Interesting.
Just
My
breaking
mom
our
did-
mom's heart.
Yeah, my mom has a
mean-
completely different opinion on this.
Yeah.
So
share.
I think it's just that my mom knew that I was not planning to stay in Poland. She she knew that I was flying back pretty much to do my studies, but I was also looking at universities in the UK and France. So she was like, "I know you're not going to study in Poland. I know you're not going to stay in Poland. You're just going to Poland to go to Poland and sort of like sort your life out from there." I mean, on one hand, she was right. So for her, like seeing that I met a guy who was Spanish, which I think that sort of surprised her a little bit, because I think a part of her hoped that I was gonna end up with a Polish Catholic man, but then she met Tony and she was like, "Oh no, he's very lovely. Like he's a really nice guy." Um, but I think a part of her was also a little bit like, oof, because Spanish men also have a reputation in Poland. So she was a little bit like, just don't get your, heart broken, blah blah blah. And I'm like, Mom, have you seen Tony? He's like the most chill, like normal looking person that you can. I mean, I love the man to death, but like he's Tony. Like that's it. Like you guys met him. He's very
Yeah, he's genuine.
chill guy,
He's yeah,
Cool, chill.
but he tells you, he shows you who he is, and like you
Yeah.
just get this good feeling, when you're around him. Like you can see how like he's an authentic person, and obviously you could tell how much he loves you. So
So yeah, so my mom later on after she met him, she was like, "Hope you guys are happy. Like you do your thing." She knew that I was gonna move to Spain, so for her it was like, "I'm not gonna hold you like back. Like go do your thing." But I think that's also because my mom lives in Poland now. Like my family lives in Poland, versus for you guys where your family lives in the States. It is a larger distance. Like you guys don't have them like a 3-hour flight away. It's 8 hours, 10 hours or more.
True. Yeah.
sure. But still, I mean, I'm sure, mom misses you.
Of course, yeah.
Always, always.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but my mom comes to Spain at least once a year, and she loves it. So, I mean, between me going there and her coming here, we see each other once or twice every year. And I mean, we know we're both really fortunate to be able to do that. So, not everybody it would be in that situation. I mean, I don't know about you two. I know, Brandon, you saw your family recently.
Yeah, we went in
And
Easter,
Paulina,
but
you see your family on the holidays.
Yes.
You went on Easter, you said, yeah.
yeah.
That was really recent.
Yeah, no, I see my family as well. I mean, we usually fly over there for Christmas and summer. This year was a little bit different. We only went there for summer because my family came here. Well, my niece and her partner came here for the summer holidays. So we went there for winter, for Christmas holidays. Um, but generally, yeah, we see each other at least 2 or 3 times a year. I feel like that's enough. That's enough of family time. Love them, but enough. Yeah.
Now we have the
Yeah.
Spanish families.
But yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into the meat. Paulina, you found that article that was really, really useful for this conversation we're having. The first one I checked off was the splitting the cost of going out. I think that's maybe something to be mentioned. Like, I feel like it's mentioned in there that typically in the US, the man is expected to pay, especially on the first date or the first few dates or something like that. But it does seem a little bit more like, let's split it, like, no big deal. It's less of a thing, less of a stigma. What are y'all's experiences with that?
Go ahead, Paulina.
You can start. Let me think about it for a moment because I've had a lot of experiences here.
Okay. I was being a gentleman. Once again, going back to when Nuri and I were dating, American mindset, I always paid. But of course, like you just said, like they try to pay. There's a lot more than I guess it would happen in the US. And even now, after all these years, like we go out for dinner, like we take turns paying. Or like we still it's like, okay, we don't go and buy something or go for dinner and say, okay, well you pay half and I pay half. No, it's like I'll pay this one and you pay the next one and go back and forth like that. It's not like,
True,
oh,
true,
you
true.
you always have to pay or this person pays or anything.
Right. Yeah, it's a little different with family too. So,
Yeah. I had very mixed experiences with that because I had, well, mixed experiences. In the States, for example, as Carson said, like you're sort of expected if you're a guy to sort of pay, right? Um, I would always bring my wallet. I'm not one of those people that, I go on a date, I'm like, yeah, you pay for me. No. Um, but I had guys, that would talk to me. We're having this conversation, and he tells me how he's working like 3 jobs, something crazy, whatever, that he's like, "Oh, yeah, I just had this weekend off. That's why we're meeting up because blah, blah, blah." He's working like 3 jobs to afford the freaking rent or whatever, and then he's, like, willing to pay, and I'm like, "Bro, it's fine, like, I can pay for my house." "No, no, 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 I'm paying." And for me, like, that's a little, like, I respect it, but it's a bit much. It's not necessary. Like, if I'm willing to split the bill, if we're having a great time, if we're gonna meet up for another date, we can split the bill. It's not a problem. So I found that sort of transition of like living here and, people being more willing to split the bill, mm, to be like something more comfortable, at least for me. Um, because I'm not a person that likes when people pay for my things necessarily. Um, I don't know if that's just because that's the way I was raised, but even with my partner now, with Tony, like same idea as Brandon said. Like one day, like he pays for the groceries, another day I'll get something or whatever to sort of like even it out rather than just I'll be sending you this, I'll send you the money for this. Of course, sometimes if it's a bigger thing, yeah, we'll do a little bit of like a transaction and send Bisum, but generally it's more like split in half, where I feel like in the States it was a lot more like the man is expected to pay for everything. And
Yeah.
I don't love that.
You said something interesting just now about that you don't like when people pay for your things. That kind of makes me feel like maybe that's part of the motivation for men in general in the US wanting to pay, is that they feel like it's, I mean, I hate to say it, it's kind of like a power move. It's like, here's my money, here's my power. I'm using, I don't want you to pay for me because then it makes me look weak if I can't afford or ask you to split it. But it is kind of a silly,
Yeah.
unspoken thing. But maybe you're onto something there. I don't know. Just made me think of that.
That's sort of what I see it as. Like I almost see it as like a weird dirty transaction because I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just my weird mind that like has a little alarm bells when the man is like, "Yeah, I've been working 3 jobs, blah blah blah," and like I'm like struggling to pay my rent, but then he's actually paying for I don't know, a full course, like 3 course meal, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What do you expect in return?" It's like
Yeah.
wink wink,
True. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
No
if
doubt.
for
Kind
me
of.
it just comes off a little bit like, "Oh, I prefer just play, no, 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 lady doesn't pay," and it's like, bro, like, yes, I'm a
It's like,
lady, but like, am I that much of a lady that you have to pay for me?
I see your point. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like, well, I think I could think of some ways to repay you. Like, what do you, no, just let me pay. Let me pay my part. It's cool, man. Like, we're at
I
this
want to
point, we're not
pay.
even friends. Like, we're just getting to know each other.
Yeah,
And so it is a little weird, but yeah, it's like the chivalry type of power play, not even like consciously. I think it's just built into our
yeah.
psyche. I think it's just built in as an American. And maybe it's that way in other countries as well. I can't speak to that, but yeah, interesting point for sure. Cool.
And to add on to that, like, since we're talking about like, these guys working 3 jobs and paying rent and whatever, um, I've noticed, I mean, I've dated a lot of people in the States, let's just put it there. Um, and a lot of the guys already by the age of, let's say, 18, 19, 20, well, I would say 19, 20 already moved out of their house. Like, they will work their butts off to actually leave the house. And then we're
Yep.
talking about, like, living in New York. I mean, yeah, they're very often they shared the apartment with, like, 2 other roommates or whatever, but at the same time, like, they didn't live at their mama's place.
Rite of
Whereas I
passage.
think yeah, in
Got
Spain, mm, yeah,
Point number 2 from the article.
point number two.
yeah,
So a very close home connection and not leaving home until the weather is perfect, the birds are singing, there's money in the bank account, I finished college, And it just seems like a good date to leave the house. It could be in your 30s if you're in Spain, right? I mean, it could be late 20s,
The
early
40s.
average
30s. It's not a thing. It's not bad. It's kind of normal for some people. I mean, not for everybody, obviously. We don't want to generalize too much, but
Yeah.
it seems a little more acceptable, a little more common to stay at home longer, and it's not frowned upon.
Yeah.
no, here they stay. I think usually women leave around 28 or 29, and the guys leave 30, 32.
Wow. You just add 10 to 15 years on top of what's common for an American, essentially. It's a pretty big difference. I mean, like, how do you think that affects adults and within in those years? Those, I don't know. Those are still like, I don't know. Can't use the term formative years, but like your early adulthood is 18 to 25. Towards your late 20s, you're starting to like really know what it means to be an adult. Like,
It's completely
so what is that
different
like?
Yeah.
because you don't have that struggle like Paulina was just saying. Like you're going out, your work, and you're hustling like to live by yourself, or not by yourself, but not at your parents' house, even though you have roommates. I'm pretty sure you probably did the same thing, Carson, I did when I was in college and after college. You live with roommates, but and you worked your job, you went to school, we did everything, and it just prepared you for life. And then, not to say that they're not prepared for life by living at home with their parents, but it's not the same when you have that Spanish mother that's here doing your laundry, preparing your meals, making your bed, having everything done. And while you go to class, or if you have a job, go to work. Some of them don't even have jobs; they just stay here, play on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Well, that goes into like work culture as well, because I mean, in order for us obviously to move out at 18, we got to be working. You got to pay to play. And then so just, I mean, without sidetracking too much, the job market in Spain versus job market in the US, like that makes a difference for sure. I mean, it influences a bit of this culture of staying at home longer. I mean, there just aren't as many jobs. And to pay to survive on your own, I mean, a one bedroom or even in a multi-tenant flat or whatever, you got 3, 4, 5 people. You're like, if you're in Madrid, I mean, that can still cost you a pretty penny. And salaries are not as low, are not as high. I'm sorry, in Spain as they are in the U.S. So I think that probably factors in, I guess, a little bit. So it's like you can't blame anybody. It's just kind of the phenomenon that exists.
Yeah, no, of course. I definitely agree with that, but I don't know, I just do think it's a completely different mindset, like yeah, the
Oh, totally.
the job thing of course that's a big factor as well, but if people really wanted to live on their own, they could work two jobs. I mean, plenty of people do that in the States, like they work two jobs and or three jobs or whatever, like little side gigs, whatever you want to do, like just to leave the house, just to not like be with your mom constantly,
Yeah.
especially if we're bringing people over. Like that's a different level of like, I don't know.
Is that a good thing though? Like doing all that just to have the money to have your freedom. Like, is that making like building character to the point where it's worth having that built into the society? I mean, I
I
don't know.
think it definitely builds character. I mean, I was lucky enough to live with my parents until I was, hold on, how old was I when I graduated from uni? Around 21? 21. So I was lucky enough to live with my parents, but I
Hmm.
was still working. It doesn't mean that I wasn't working. I was studying and working. Just to have my own money for, I don't know, textbooks, my own money to go out. Like I wasn't asking my parents for money. Of course, yeah, they paid the rent, but I still had to make my own money for my own sort of like needs. Obviously later on when I moved to Poland, I was working two jobs. Just I was paying my rent. I had money for trips. Mm, and I was doing okay. I didn't have to ask anybody. Like I could have whoever I wanted over at any time I wanted. It's a very different level of like freedom. I
Hmm.
I personally think it's worth it.
Worth what?
Like worth to work that hard in
Yeah.
order to have that level of like freedom, like
Oh, worth it, 100%. I
privacy.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, on the individual level, absolutely, 100% worth it. I mean, you wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, you're growing up where you're growing up, and that's what you're raised to think, raised to believe. The work ethic that you have. I mean, I'm grateful to my parents for that, especially my dad. Um, and it is worth it to have your freedom, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just Brandon, I want to know, like, did you move out at 18, like,
Yeah,
and
I went.
stay moved
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
or
yeah.
did you go back, or
I went to a university. That was like hour and a half, 2 hours away from where I lived. So I stayed on campus. Yeah. So when I throughout university, I stayed on campus. And
nice?
so yeah,
On campus has its benefits for sure.
yeah.
No excuses to miss classes.
Uh, I moved back in with my parents when I came back after my first year of living in Spain. So I came to work it for a year. Then I went back to the U.S. and I lived with my parents. And I think at that time I was maybe 24. It was strange at first after being out for so many years because usually, obviously, you go home for maybe a summer for a couple weeks or a month or something, and that's it. But to come back and I was there for like almost a year. But I mean, it was good. It's different. You adapt it. My parents are cool, so it was all good.
Nice. So how old were you at that point when you moved back?
Yeah, I think it was like 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
actually, it's funny because,
yeah, 2009. So yeah, 24.
all right, I want to say I was like 22 or 23 when I moved back, just temporarily to before finishing college. I finished the last year living at home. It just worked out better for me. I was closer to campus, fewer distractions. I could actually finish college. So,
Important.
yeah, that was really useful. Like, useful timing. But yeah, before then, I had my own place, had several roommates, had a hell of a time, but working 2 or 3 jobs, just trying to have some spending money, cover rent, all those things, pay for whatever books. I mean, they had grants for that and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, not earning a lot of money, but independent. That's how we grew up. Like, you got to make your own way. Like, you can't ask mommy and daddy for every little thing. Like, it's okay every once in a while. If you really need it, they're there for you. And I know
Always.
that I have the best mom in the world. Like, she's there for me more than I need her to be, which I think is probably what every mom would want their child to say. It's like, I mean, that love is so different, right? But yeah, back on the subject of Spanish moms, right? Preparing all the food for the whole family, the extended family, giving you tuppers, leftovers, like that's just amazing, right? I love that part.
Spanish family in general. It's
It's
it's a
great
different vibe for sure
Yeah.
from our family, well, American families in general.
for sure. And then the 2 or 3 hour sobremesa.
A bit
I
too
can't
much
do
for
that.
me.
I can't do it.
No.
Nah.
No,
At first, it was too much for me. Now, I cherish it. I would say that I cherish it. Yeah. No,
I can't.
it just, of course, it depends. Like, certain friend group sobremesa still drives me crazy. But with family, 2 to 2.5, 3 hours is the absolute max. But like 2 to 2.5, really nice restaurant. The food keeps coming, drinks, you don't have to drive. Like, oh, the flavors, the dessert, there's no rush. It's just like, I mean, I got into trouble the first few years I was here because I didn't know how to pace myself. The food hits the table and I'm just like, I'm going. And like in my house, I was always the human garbage disposal. Oh, give it to your brother. Oh, give it to Carson. I'll finish it. I love to eat. It's like my favorite thing to do. It's a good thing I exercise because I would not be this thin. Um, but sorry, I could go on and on.
Wait, I think one thing we need to clear up is that for maybe someone that doesn't know, sobremesa is that after you finish eating, so basically you just stay at the table and talk and drink, talk some more, you drink some more, and it just goes on for, as Carson said, like up to a couple hours, 2, 3 hours.
Yeah.
I like to nibble during that time so I don't eat too much at once. Like, oh, I get bored of this conversation, or oh, the Spanish was over my head and I'm lost. Like, I need a little mental break. I'll just eat something or get a drink, or I don't know. Just try to survive the 3 hours.
I had that
It's a lot.
experience today.
Oh yeah, today.
Yeah, because we always Sunday lunches. You guys know how it goes. Um, yeah, we had a Sunday lunch. My uncle, my partner's uncle. At this point, it's my uncle. He came by, with his daughter and his grandkids and like whole freaking family. I think there was about like 10 of us there, if not more. We're all sitting and eating and whatever, and there's like the first plato, like the first plate, then the second meal, then whatever, then desserts, then you want coffee, then we're just gonna sit here and talk about. I'm like, oh my god, I can't, like I'm tired of this. Like it's just, I'm not a person who can sit still. So like I'll eat my food, I'll get up, I'll walk around, and like I know people find that rude. I know that like but I'll get up, I'll go clean the dishes a little bit, I'll come back to the table, I'll sit with them, I'll have the dessert, whatever. Then I'll go for my little smoke break, and I'll come back. So I sort of try to avoid being at the table way too much because I don't really talk anyways. Like I just sit there and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like I'm not as chatty as I am here. Um, because what am I gonna talk about to, my partner's uncle? Like, what am I gonna tell him? Like, yeah, how's the business going? How are, the cryptos or whatever? Like, I don't know. What am I gonna talk to him about? you know?
For sure.
Um, So I just feel a little bit like overwhelmed every time we have this Sunday lunch with like in a bigger sort of gathering because of course if it's just my in-laws and my brother-in-law and whatever, then it's fine. But if there is like so many of us, I get so like overwhelmed, antsy-pantsy, I can't sit still, and
Yeah.
if I could skip it, I would skip it, honestly.
Yeah.
I would do the same. And I'm the same as you. Once the meal ends, I'm putting the plates away, cleaning them, putting in the dishwasher. It's like, oh, we want coffee? Well, I'll make coffee. It's like anything to not be seated.
Yeah. I feel that. No, for sure. First of all, my family doesn't have Sunday weekly, lunches. So, and honestly, yeah, like you both said, like if you're at home, you're in somebody's house, you have that freedom. Like you feel a little more comfortable. You get up, you go do something, stretch your legs, right? Because really, like after sitting for so many hours, you're just like, I mean, none of us are any spring chickens over here. Like we got to get up and move these old bones. You know what I mean? I'm being ridiculous, but for
Like
me, it's like that's real life.
the struggle is real.
But what was I gonna say? The restaurants, yeah, the restaurants can be brutal for me because then you do feel a little more out of place standing up. You're like, oh, I needed to look at what's going on over there. I can only go to the bathroom a reasonable number of times. So yeah, but that overwhelming feeling you get, I get at Christmas Eve. There's 20 of us, there's 22 of us, and it's like I see you once a year. Firstly, it's do I know everybody's name and their relation? Like, uh, step number one, never get to step number one before the event actually happens. I get there and it's just, yes, please, another copa. Yes. Oh wow, it's so good to see you. And what do we talk about now? Let me just fill you in on the last 365 days. Like, it's kind of hard. Kind of this, but then at some point everybody loosens up, and then you get like all the benefits of all the amazing food, the tapas, the togetherness, the fact that people do here make that special effort to spend more time together with their family, especially with the family, but even with friends. There is a bit more. I feel like a social aspect to living in Spain that I love, and it's something I think that's definitely enhanced my life. So yeah.
Definitely a very social culture. Always together, like you said, with family, friends, whatever. It's always together. Something that we don't have I guess it depends on the family, but in general, we don't have that in the U.S. Not like here. In the U.S.,
Yeah.
it's common. You get together for what, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, Easter, maybe, and that's it. But then here, as Paulina said, every Sunday.
Some families every Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And don't miss it. If you miss it, you're out the family.
Yeah.
Like, what's
You're
wrong?
out.
Oh.
3 strikes, you're out.
¿Qué le pasa? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like you were sick?
Changing the
How
wheel.
could you be sick? Oh,
But
funny.
no, speaking of friends also, Carson, I found it, I don't know, maybe because, I'm all my friends that I have, are in the States generally. Obviously not counting you guys, but like my friends are mainly in the States. My closest friends live in the States, and I know them since I was like, I don't know, 10 years old. So obviously when you're 10, when you're 9, when you're a little kid, it's much easier to make friends. You go into the playground, you push somebody off the swing, and suddenly you become best friends. You're like, "Ah, you're so mean. Yeah, you too. Okay, let's be friends."
Be mean together.
Interesting way to meet friends, but sure.
Alina's way, but no. I found it very difficult to make friends in Spain. Um, I have some friends, obviously. I mean, I can call you guys my friends, I would hope, I mean, we're doing this together, so shit, I would hope that I can call you my friends.
We'll see about that.
But the friends that I actually have are mainly my partner's best friends, girlfriends or wives or whatever, which is nice, It's nice that like I can go out, like hang out with them and like have a coffee and whatever. And they became like my closest friends here, I would say. But to actually go out of my way and become friends with Spanish people, I found it very difficult. I think Spanish people sometimes, not always, can be very cliquey. And
I thought you were going to say something like that. I
yeah,
kind
I
of
have,
felt like you were going in that direction.
yeah, I have found, I'm not gonna, you guys probably know which stories I'm referring to, but whatever. Carson, maybe, a little bit more than Brandon. Uh,
You could jog my memory.
But I find that when people have their own little group already, it's very difficult to sort of like become friends with all of them. Like you become friends
Yeah.
with one,
Yeah.
but you also get like left out or whatever.
Yes.
Or like because you're not Spanish enough, because you're whatever not enough. And I understand that, like very often you want to be with people of your own culture. Unfortunately, this happens a lot. Also, when I saw with Erasmus students when I was living in Poland, there are a lot of Erasmus students that were from Spain that just stuck with their Spanish friends.
Yeah.
Not the point of Erasmus, obviously, not the point of the exchange program. The exchange program is you're supposed to make friends and, meet
Right.
other people and speak English and whatever. And I understand that people want to be with people from their own culture. It's a lot easier to communicate. But at the same time, it does sometimes feel a little bit like hurtful. Coming from a place, as you guys know, like for me living in New York, where I had friends from all over the world and we didn't exclude anybody. Like we would always be like, oh, like the more the merrier. Like let's go out for drinks, whatever. Like very social type of and friendly, outgoing lifestyle where here I felt like I was like very limited when it came to making friends. That's why that's why I became friends with you guys. I mean, what
No,
other
there,
choice would I had? Shit.
no, there are
You're
options.
saying we were not first pick?
We're like six round picks.
I mean, is it because I'm a ginger? Anyways, no. Brandon, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this too. But I kind of, when I saw that we were going to talk, kind of mention something like that, I felt that similar to how you're feeling. Not so much offended or not hurt by it, but just kind of like observant of it, in that it is like a clique, and I think it is because a lot of them don't leave their hometowns. They stay pretty close. They stay in touch with these people. They don't really grow their friend groups outside of like who's dating who. And so it's a little bit harder to get in because I felt I had that situation too where I was like I was really close with one or two of them, but then the other ones they had like different friend groups that they did different things with, and for some reason I never felt comfortable enough to include myself more, even though maybe I had the invitation, and like sometimes even when I had the invitation, like flat out, I was just like, man, that would be fun, but like there's a language thing, there's a culture thing, there's like I don't really know these people that well. I want to. I need to do this social thing. I need to be out. I need to get out there. It's good for me. So of course, sometimes you got to force yourself to do it, and just like it ends up being the time of your life, of course. But like you said, sometimes you're just not entirely comfortable. You don't feel like you're a part of that clique or a part of really close in that friendship. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, no, it really depends on the person, the Spanish person, because like you said, Pauline, like maybe you find someone you actually click with them, but then you get with the rest of the group and it's not the same feeling for whatever reason. But also, I have to say that once again, in my experience, I've been here for a lot longer than you all. Like Spanish people are extremely open and they're willing to take you in no matter what. Because a lot of my friends are also Nuria's friends, like her friends that she's had, well, for since she was a kid or maybe from working or whatever. And over the years, well, those same people have become like my personal best friends. Like even though like they're Nuria's friends, because of that relationship that we've had and we developed over the years, well, they become my best friends. And I see their kids, and their kids are like, "Oh yeah, that's my little nephew." Like that's how I feel about them. And at
Nice.
the same time, it kind of sucks because I've lost that same relationship with my friends back in the U.S. or some of them, not all of them. My close friends, like it doesn't matter if we see each other once every 3 or 4 years. It's like it was back in the day when in high school. But overall, it's something that I don't have with everyone, all the friends that I have from like high school and college that I had before. So you lose some and you create new ones, and that's just how life is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Brandon. Especially like you mentioned that, some of your best friends are because they were Nuria's friends. The same idea with Tony. I mean, yeah, his best friends. I mean, Carson, you met some of them as well. Um, so his best friends, also became like my friends, and their girlfriends and whatever became like my best friends, and it's beautiful that yeah, they sort of like allow you to get into that group, but at the same time, I think yeah, I mean, if they don't, that would be sort of really fucked up if they didn't allow you in a group. Like, it's like I'm engaged to this guy. It's like, on what, you're not gonna welcome me to the
Yeah.
group at this point. Like, but I see what you're saying, Brandon. And I also understand this idea that like, yeah, some of the friends that we have in the United States, we can go years without seeing them and it feels like nothing has changed. Whereas there are other ones that you sort of like lose that touch, lose that connection with them, and it feels like, damn, like I created a whole new life here that is so different to what I had back at home, so to say.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because we got I think a lot of us are experiencing the whole friends by association to our partner. And so it feels like it's a little harder to make organic friendships the way we used to back home.
One thing that I have noticed though, with the friends that I have made that aren't friends by association, are a lot of my students, my adult students that I don't know, you have those classes with them, and then for a reason you have a good connection with them, and you create that friendship. I have some of my friends now that aren't from Nuria are my students that I had when I first came here as a student, probably over 10 years ago. And so that's something I think is also pretty cool that all of a sudden this random person goes to an academy or something trying to learn English, and then
Hmm.
you say, oh, never thinking that, oh, I'm going to create a friendship that I'm going to have for at least a decade or more.
For sure. That's true. You meet people so many different ways, and I mean, part of it is because we live in a different place, but also because we're getting older, and priorities change, and circumstances, just kind of build it around this is how you're going to make friends. These are the types of friends you're going to have. And I kind of remember what I was going to say earlier. Back home is like those ones that you were closest with, the ones that you think of from time to time when you're here away from your country. You think of all the fun you had or all the amazing things that person did for you. Um, those are the people when you go home, you're like, I want to see this person. I'm going to make it a priority. I'm going to send them a message and say like, hey, I'm in town these days. Would love to see you. And not expecting anything, but hoping for just even like a chance to grab a beer or something. I mean, that's enough. Just like give me an hour of your time, man. I just want to see you in the flesh and hear that everything's good with you. And just tell me what's going on, quick
Yeah.
catch up. That's all it can be sometimes. But I mean, occasionally maybe you get lucky and one of your best friends who maybe lives somewhere else in the world. I've got friends all over right now, actually. One in the UK, one in Poland, lots in the US, here in Spain. It's like maybe we get lucky. We get to spend a weekend somewhere for a concert or go stay at this house, this ranch for the weekend, which a lot of Spanish people do. They get together with their friends, they go to some rural house, they have party, um, which I think is cool. And I've done that with some people before. My wife and I did that with her brother and his girlfriend. We did it at least once or twice, and just a cool way to like go on hikes, check out small towns, go have some good food, just escape the city, um, change things up. So, I mean, that's like I guess kind of a different thing we don't really do in the US. I mean, you do that when you go on a ski trip or something like that, but it's not necessarily for something so big like that. It's more just like, hey, let's just go get this house and 6 of us. And I've been invited several times by other friends of mine that I made here through work or whatever to do something like that.
We did it last weekend.
There you go. There's your sign.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Anyways. I had a thought to sort of bring it back to the original idea also, like with the relationships as well. I mean, friendships, relationships, I mean, those very often, I mean, they overlap. But I was thinking of, I don't know if it's like a good question necessarily, because you guys, I don't know if you guys dated any other Spanish woman before you dated your partners, so I don't know your experiences, but do you guys think that in general, dating somebody from the States versus dating somebody from Spain is a very different experience? Like, obviously, we can't generalize it because every person is very different. Everybody has their own personality, but do you think that, I don't know, let's say a woman from the States versus a woman from Spain, or a man from the States and a man from Spain are very different?
I think an important point that we're looking at is that we're dating Spanish people in Spain.
Yes.
So that also changes the whole dynamic of the situation. It's not what Carson for you is different because I mean you met Maria in the US.
Yeah, we started in the US.
So yeah, so that in that case would be different, but
No, but I mean, my answer is no. In fact, conversation I had last night with Maria was along the lines of, I'm just trying to think like, is it really that different being with somebody from another country? And then of course, yeah, if you sit there and like really delve into all of the like little cultural differences, but then it's not really like, you don't really chalk that up to the person so much as like the situation. So like, it's hard for me, I guess, sometimes to separate my context from the subject, and the subject is this relationship I have with her. And like, no, I don't feel like the relationship is so completely different because we're two people from two different countries living in her country versus my country, even though it's our country, of course. I consider Spain home. But do you see what I'm getting at here? It's like, I guess more along the lines of like you, how invested and what kind of investment you make in a relationship. And it feels a little bit like the stakes are higher. It always felt like the stakes were higher for this relationship, which like I think I think helped us, and it has helped us kind of like value the relationship more. And that like we have already done so much to be
exactly.
here together. We both sacrificed a lot. You had to bring me in. You had to be patient with me as I adapted to all this all this change. It's normal for you, but it's not so normal for me. The little things, they're hanging the clothes. They're not throwing all the clothes in the dryer. The shop's closing in the middle of the day for 2 or 3 hours, not being open 24 hours. Lots of places. I mean, these raise, like, they start little arguments. You have these misunderstandings with some person, so there's a lot on both people, the one adapting and the one kind of guiding, in a way teaching the person that's being adapted. And so, yeah, the stakes were higher, but I think it helped us. I think it helped us not give up when it was hard, because it was hard at times. And I think it would be hard. And I think any person who's dating cross culturally would say that, oh, there are moments when you just like, feel like, I don't know who I am anymore, let alone who is this person giving me orders? Are they giving me orders, or is it because they love me? It's kind of both.
What's going on? What is this?
But maybe, yeah. So I don't know exactly how to conclude that, but yeah, it's different and it's not. It's different in that it raises the stakes. It raises the level of value maybe that you place on it, and that how hard you're willing to work and how much more patient you need to be. And once you start accepting the fact that I need to be more patient, and it's not so much that person needs to do their thing. Like, you have to realize we all have things we can improve. And so on the topic of relationships in general, like, you're good at some things, you're not so good at others. And that just goes true. That's just true for everybody. So you put two people in the mix, you got to learn how you can dance together, how you can move in sync and complement each other and be there for that person when times are hard, and then, celebrate them when times are good. So I think in the end, it's two people just trying to make things work, trying to make sense of it all together, and say, at the end of the day, I love you.
Do you guys also have like those little funny things when it comes to like that your partners, when they try to speak English and they say funny things, and you're like, oh my God, I love you. Like, you're so silly, but I love you. The other day, Tony told me that we were playing a game, and he tells me the question was, it's like with a timer. You have 5 seconds to answer a question. It's like, list 3 things that you do in the morning. And he said, brush my teeth, run away. Instead of go to work, he runs away. I lost it. I'm like, what do you mean run away? You're like, yeah, run away. And I'm like, and then every day, you love me enough to come back.
So we'll try this
Man,
again.
it's a Freudian slip.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Carson.
Run away from you.
Sorry. Completely random anecdote, but Carson, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think going back to that original question, whether you guys see the differences, Brandon, I also want to hear your opinion, but I do think that it's not so much as just the person itself. There is also the cultural aspect, right? I mean, the culture is very different. So we also need to be very patient and understanding and calm. And sometimes we're not always very calm because things frustrate us.
It's
It
normal.
happens. However, I do personally think that, from my own personal experiences, that there are some differences, but I'll get to them after Brendan tells us, a little bit about his own experience, because I'll go on for a little while.
No, I think, like I said before, I think it's a lot has to do with the different cultures, because in the end, everyone's always going to be different. So no matter who you date, they're going to be different. They're going to have some certain characteristics. But I think what's being in play, especially for us in this situation, is the mix of a different culture that, even though it's not so different from ours, but it is still quite different from what we're used to. I don't know. I think culture plays a big part.
Yeah. For me, the biggest difference was that, for example, in the States, men and women in general, I feel like, are more willing to sort of put label on things more fast, like more quickly. So if you're dating somebody, you go on 3 dates, you can say, oh yeah, I'm seeing this person, we're dating. And like, you have a label of like, you guys are actually dating. In Spain, with Tony, I don't know, we went on a couple of dates, we were hanging out. For him and for his friends, it was, oh yeah, they're sort of seeing each other and they're hanging out. And in my mind, I'm like, no, where's the label? You know, because I came from the States, I came from New York, thinking of like, there needs to be a label. And from the beginning, I was like, okay, but what are we? And it's like, I don't know, we're hanging out. And I'm like, no, we're not hanging out.
That's
So
the
I
wrong
was getting
answer.
frustrated. Yeah, wrong answer. Strike one.
That's what you can
Again.
tell your friends, but no.
And I was getting frustrated because in the States, from my own personal experience, I've noticed that people are a little bit faster, you know, to sort of label what they are, you know? It's like, I've been seeing this guy for this amount of time. I guess we're, I don't know, like fuck buddies, or we're in a situationship, or we're whatever. Like, we have all these labels to sort of like say, okay, we're friends with benefits, we're fuck buddies, we're, I don't know, like in a situationship, we're sort of getting serious. Like, we have all of these different categories where when I started dating like Spanish guys before Tony, I like dated a few as well. And I was like, why? Like, there's no label? Like, and it's always, I'll see you. And it's like, what do you mean you'll see me? Like, call me a time and date where we're gonna meet up for a coffee or a drink or whatever. Yeah,
I'll see you when I see you.
I'll send you a message when I can. What do you mean? So that was for me. That was the biggest shock.
I think that's probably true, but my case is a little bit of a special one. We got married fast. We got married real fast. Real fast like. So it was a little bit unrealistic for me to expect her to be so open to share the fact that she has this husband who's from America that she's known for less than a year or about a year. And I was like, I was more immature at that time. I was more like, hey, and I think, like you said, Paulina, there is a kind of that expectation culturally as an American to put a label on it. And it's like, well, we don't even have to like, this isn't us just saying it. It's like legal. Like,
Yeah.
we are legal, baby. So, you know, tell your family, your parents, like, so at first it was the parents, of course, they found out ASAP, like pretty much right after it happened. It was a little easier to explain, but I mean, we're talking 20, 30 other family members, like that took some time and I was patient. And, yeah, we had this, there was a moment, there were conversations, there were misunderstandings about the whole labeling the relationship. I'm like, we kind of already did it. Like, I understand your point, but we got married, so
It's
Mhm.
done.
it's done. I mean, unless it's just not going to work out very, very soon, and we know that, like, might as well start telling people. Brandon, any labeling issues?
No, my whole situation is a lot different from you all because, like I said, I've been here for almost 20 years. And I've been with Nuria for 15 years. So the whole dating, haven't dated much here in Spain.
You haven't had to.
Yeah,
Dating's hard.
and I was gonna say I'm thankful for that because I see what the situation is now, and if I had if I had to go out and try to date someone now, that'd be a difficult task.
Like the past.
Difficult task. I see what people are going through. It's like, oof, that's rough. Gotta get that out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, there's another thing that I struggled with personally. Maybe because I'm a little bit a psycho bitch, but but
Oh, could be because of that.
but it's like, oh god.
But it's like, no comment. Of course, it's like, I'll comment.
No, but what I personally struggle with, I think, I don't know if this is a New York thing. I don't know if you guys just see this in the United States as well. That a lot of, for example, the friendships, like men and women friendships, are very, very accepted here in Spain. Like, it's very I mean, within my personal experience,
Yeah.
like my partner has many women friends, you know, and they were sort of like growing up together since they were kids, you know, like in the same type of playground. And for me, I was like, red flag,
It's like,
you
who's
know, like
she?
exactly. Like, I came from the States where, like, if you had a male friend, or, you know, if you're a man and you have a woman friend, it was like automatically like something happened, like y'all fucked, like there was some sort of thing, which not necessarily was the case, but very often there is that assumption. So there is like jealousy from the start. So when my partner told me like, "Oh yeah, I'm going out with the girls, like, and the rest of the guys to a bar," and I'm like, "What girls? Who are they?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're Erasmus friends," and I'm like, "I don't know them," and like I would get like stressed because I'm like, not necessarily because of him, but because I'm like, I don't know what are these girls' motives as well, So I always had like a little bit of a worry because I'm like, how can you be a guy who has girlfriends and vice versa? Because I don't know, in New York, it was never like a normal thing. There was always some sort of motive behind it.
Hmm. I mean, there's a level of appropriateness, right? I mean, it's like if you are just going one on one to hang out with this friend who's a girl or a guy, whatever, opposite sex, and it's like questionable, then of course you have your reasons to be suspicious. But if it's just like you stay in touch from time to time, I mean, I don't know if you're saying like they talk all the time, they communicate, they're always texting, always sending each other things, then okay, so you're just saying you're being a little paranoid.
Yeah,
I
mainly.
mean, because I personally, I had quite a few, and I still have quite a few girlfriends that are in the US. Now, I don't talk to them as much as I used to because a lot of that just has to do with me living here and not being in the scene. I'm like, I'm not in Atlanta. I'm not around the people. And so like I just don't communicate as much directly with even my closest friends as much as I used to. But I mean, if you're in a relationship, there are just like you may have the best of intentions. You may be just friends with this person, but you kind of have to put yourself in your partner's shoes and be like, I wouldn't want them, that would make me uncomfortable if they did that. And so I'm not going to like push the button too much, or I'm not going to, push the topic. And at the same time, like it could be, yeah, like it just could be completely harmless, but perception is everything. And then like, of course you care about what your partner's thinking and feeling, and you don't want to, you know, possibly have this issue or miscommunication. So depends on if it's worth it. Depends on how appropriate it is. Like, I
Yeah,
guess you got to be open with your partner and have that conversation.
yeah.
Communication is key.
And we had those conversations. But, that was something as when I first started dating him, because for me it was so brand new that I'm like, he has these friends that are girls and there are no secret motives behind it. Because like I said, in the States, if you have a guy friend or whatever, generally, maybe it's not from your end, but it's from the guy friend's end, that like there are some
Ah,
motives. Um
the guy just wants to sleep with you. Well, probably true. What
what happened? Nothing happened.
are you talking about?
Um but no, it's
Uh,
it's for me it was very strange. And obviously later on when I met these girls and whatever, I was like, this is what I was worried about. Like their like friendship was just like so natural, so normal. Like you could see that they're like buddies. I mean, and I'm over here, like recording with two guys. I mean, Tony could also be like, fuck is she doing? Like constantly talking to Carson and Brandon. Like, but he's not. So
yeah, there's an understanding, and we all know each other.
yeah.
We've all gone out, and we all have that trust and just comfort level with each other, and like we know. So it's not a thing. Obviously, we've been friends for years now. So yeah.
How long
Right.
have we been friends? It's what, like
2022.
4 years?
I I started at the school in 2021.
You started
When I
before
moved.
me. You two know each other before I knew you
A
two.
year before.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's been a minute.
Huh.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Time
Feels like
flies.
longer in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've known y'all longer than that.
I'm just happy to have friends.
For sure. For sure. Even though well, you two are one time zone away from me. I mean, being able to do this and
Yeah.
see each other several times a year,
No,
it's
yeah.
awesome.
It's necessary.
Yeah, and to bring this back also about friendships, you guys think like it makes your life easier to have also friends that are like expats and have been through similar experiences, or like what
Totally.
are your experiences with that?
Without a doubt.
Brandon, you've been here
Because they
longer.
don't, because they know the situation, like what we're talking about. Well, we all know, we've all been in this situation, so it all makes sense. So if Carson says something, well, we know what that exact situation was because we've gone through it 10, 15 times. And so people who haven't been in this situation where they're living in a different country with a spouse from another country, well, they don't know it. It's all foreign to them, literally.
Right. And we're all from the East Coast. So
Yeah.
that's another rare thing. How we ended up over here, I have no idea, but I'm sure as hell glad we did.
Hmm.
No doubt.
From the
What
East
was I gonna
Coast, but
say? But
Carson doesn't get my slang, so it's okay. Yeah. All right.
sometimes it's not all the
But New
time.
York is a whole different thing.
New York is like its own country. Come on, and I mean that in a good way. But yeah, y'all are
Right.
out there.
Yeah. So
Well,
last words of wisdom today. Any words of wisdom? Also, peace and love.
peace
Always.
and love. Let's leave that there.
Nah. Put in the effort. It's not easy. Relationships, friendships, never easy. Got to put in the effort,
No, but
put in the work, and it's always going to be worth it in the end.
well said, my man. Well said. Lots of work, but rewards you can't measure. Absolutely.
Right. Many years.
Yeah. It's true.
Many years.
Many years. Not as many as Brandon, but
If
This year.
many more.
it's worth the effort. Right? It's worth the work that we put in. All right.
I think that's it.
Good at that.
Have a good night.
Night night.
And you, Paulina, how long was the long distance?
About 2 years.
Shit.